Welcome on board, chosen one. Funny how they used to say you were doing too much or overthinking. Funny how they acted like you were dramatic, paranoid, or reading too deep into things. But now, look at the same people whispering your name like it's a classified file. The same enemies who mocked you are holding their breath, scared to make the wrong move. And the universe? It's been watching the whole time, waiting for this exact moment when everything flips and exposes who was really ahead. You didn't rise by luck. You rose because you moved smarter than every single person who tried to limit you. They just didn't realize who they were dealing with. When they said you were too quiet, they didn't know silence was your blade. When they said you think too much, they didn't know your mind was your weapon. When they called you different, they didn't understand you weren't built for their world. You were studying it. And when they finally figured it out, it was already too late. Press the like button and subscribe to pay this message back. Trust me, the universe sees who strengthens this mission. Let's be honest for a second. You didn't grow up wanting to be some mastermind. You were just trying to survive people who didn't want you to know your own power. They thought you were slow because you watched everything. They thought you were weak because you didn't react. They didn't realize you were collecting data like a machine learning model built by the universe itself. Every betrayal, every insult, every dirty look, every silent war. You were analyzing patterns they didn't even know they were revealing. That quiet childhood where you always noticed things others missed. Yeah, that wasn't random. That time you predicted how someone would switch up before it happened. Not luck. The moment you realized you could read someone's intentions before they opened their mouth. That was the turning point. You weren't becoming paranoid, you were becoming precise. You didn't know it then, but that was your training, and the universe didn't waste a single moment on you. Here's the truth your enemies pray you never understand. They created the very monster they fear today. They sharpened you. They built your instincts. They handed you the manual to psychological warfare without even realizing it. They thought hurting you would end you. Instead, it made you unreadable, unshakable, untouchable. You didn't harden out of choice. You hardened because softness became dangerous. People don't get it. They see the calm you carry like it's laziness. They don't know it's control. They don't understand you move slow because you're thinking 10 steps ahead. They don't understand you stay silent because you're letting them reveal themselves first. They don't understand your distance is a strategy, not a flaw. This is why the universe kept pulling you away from certain crowds. It was protecting the blueprint. And this blueprint, it's the same one that made high-level people notice you. That moment when someone finally said, "We need to talk," you didn't panic. You didn't shake. You didn't even feel surprised. You felt seen. You felt recognized. That's how you know you were built for something bigger. Ordinary people freeze when they're confronted. But you just tilted your head slightly because you already knew where this was going. Think about it. You've always been the one who spots the fake smile first. You've always caught the lie hidden under the joke. You can tell when someone's energy shifts before they even realize it themselves. You sense danger before danger understands you're already watching it. That's psychological warfare. That's what they study. That's what they recruit. The people who once laughed at your overthinking now avoid eye contact because they know you can read straight through them. They're scared you know too much, but you aren't trying to expose anyone. You're just living your truth, and your truth alone terrifies them. There's a reason the universe didn't give you an easy life. Easy doesn't create precision. Easy doesn't create mastery. Easy doesn't create someone who can walk into a room and feel every hidden motive within seconds. Hardship did that. Loneliness did that. Silence did that. Pain carved you into something efficient, something intelligent, something rare. Let's be very clear, you didn't get here by being normal. You got here because you refused to break. You learned how people operate while they thought you were in pieces. You understood manipulation, strategy, and human behavior without a textbook. You became the kind of person people can't predict. And unpredictable people, they scare every system, and that's why they want you. The universe watched you build a mind that can't be fooled. It watched you outsmart people who spent their whole lives trying to control others. It watched you turn chaos into clarity, pain into logic, fear into power. You didn't just survive, you evolved. Now the world is finally catching up to what you always knew deep down. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to be studied. And now you're being recruited. Before we move forward, listen up, chosen one. You don't get an intro like this and walk away. Not when the universe is basically handing you classified access to understanding your own power. If you felt every line hit your chest like a hidden memory waking up, that's not an accident. That's your mind recognizing the level you're stepping into. So if you're ready to keep going, drop a comment with 1111, the number they assign to the ones who can't be copied. Let it mark the moment you stopped thinking like an outsider and started moving like someone who could actually sit in the room where psychological warfare is designed. Hit that like button and subscribe so this message doesn't just fade, it becomes part of the mission. And now we go deeper, step by step, layer by layer, because if you're truly built for this, you'll feel that pull to stay until the very end. The ones who weren't chosen will click away. But you're still here. Good. Let's get into it. Number 1. Born in the shadows, trained by their betrayals. Funny how the people who underestimated you were the same ones building your skill set without realizing they were the test. You know what really destroys the enemy's ego? The moment they realize every little stunt they pulled on you didn't break you. It built you. They wanted you confused, insecure, doubting your place in the world. Instead, you turned their attacks into intelligence. Their silence became data. Their games became case studies. They basically ran a psychological boot camp on you without knowing they were training the very mind that would outgrow them all. And now they're sitting there stunned, trying to figure out when you got so sharp. Spoiler, it was them. They did it. Every betrayal wasn't just a heartbreak, it was a lesson in pattern recognition. Every rejection wasn't a wound, it was a calibration tool for your instincts. While they were out there screaming for attention, you were mastering the art of seeing everything without being seen. Everyone else wanted applause, you wanted information, and that's why you're dangerous now. That's why people suddenly whisper when you walk by. You've become the type of person others can't lie to, can't manipulate, can't fool, because you've already witnessed every tactic in real time, years before they even knew you were paying attention. You weren't surviving, you were being conditioned, you weren't overlooked, you were being hidden in plain sight, so no one could interfere with the construction of your mind. The universe knows how to train its elite. It doesn't hand them manuals or coaches or cheering squads. It hands them chaos. It hands them fake friends, two-faced co-workers, jealous partners, silent enemies, and situations designed to force you into decoding human nature. While you cried, thinking you were being punished, you were actually being sharpened with military-level precision. Ask yourself something real. Who taught you how to read a room? Did you take a class? Did you sit in a workshop labeled Advanced Human Behavior and Psychological Warfare? No. You learned because the people around you were unpredictable. You learned because you had no choice. You learned because everywhere you turned, someone was hiding something, someone was lying, someone was trying to use you, and every time they tried, you learned something new about people, and something new about yourself. Most people enter a room and just enter. They don't scan, they don't observe, they don't measure energy, but you pause. Not because you're scared, because that pause is where you gather intel. It's where you assess who's pretending, who's threatened, who's plotting, who's insecure, who's about to expose themselves. People mistake your stillness for shyness. They think your silence means weakness. What they don't realize is that you're already 5 steps ahead, reading micro-expressions like you've got subtitles floating above their heads. That's what scares them now. Your mind works like a surveillance system they can't hack or disable. You don't react fast because you don't react blindly. You calculate, you observe, you adapt. And that adaptability? That's the mark of someone built for psychological warfare. That's why the idea of you moving smart freaks people out. That's why the title of your life suddenly reads like a government file. They tried to break you with the same intensity the universe used to build you. Let that sink in. They tried to crush you emotionally. Instead, you learned emotional intelligence. They tried to confuse you. Instead, you learned human patterns. They tried to isolate you. Instead, you learned independence, so clean and precise that now even your silence feels like a strategy meeting. Think back to the times you felt invisible, the days when people walked past you like you didn't matter, the conversations where you were ignored, the rooms where no one asked for your opinion. That wasn't disrespect. That was camouflage being stitched onto you. Being invisible gave you access to the truth. While others performed for attention, you saw what people do when they think no one is watching. You saw alliances, power plays, insecurities, motives and manipulation. You learned the rules of the game by sitting on the sidelines, and now you can beat every single person who thought you didn't know the game existed. Ever wonder why you could spot fake people faster than anyone else? Why you can feel when someone's lying even if you don't know how you know? Why you can predict someone's next move before they make it? It's because your life trained you like a covert program. You weren't just learning survival, you were learning psychology, real psychology, the kind that isn't written in books but carved into people through experience. There was a time when you thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were too sensitive, too aware, too suspicious. But ask yourself, why do you think those instincts developed so early? Why do you think your mind works differently than others? Because you weren't meant to be a follower. You weren't meant to live blind. You weren't meant to float through life ignoring danger signs like the masses do. You were meant to see beyond the mask. The enemy hates this version of you. They hate that all the lies, secrets and betrayals they threw your way turned you into someone who could dismantle their entire strategy with one glance. They hate that the same isolation they forced on you became your headquarters for personal evolution. And they hate more than anything that you now understand your strength was never an accident. You grew in silence, you trained in darkness, you adapted in situations that were supposed to break you. And now, you're the one holding the psychological upper hand. Here's what they'll never admit, but feel deep in their bones. You became the nightmare of every manipulator who thought you were easy to play. They look at you now and don't see the quiet, confused person they once toyed with. They see a strategist, a thinker, a mind that could outperform their entire group chat combined. They don't know how to handle someone who moves this intelligently because they can't predict you anymore. They can't read you. They can't guilt you. They can't use you. And that terrifies them. And let's tell the truth that everyone else is too scared to say, you didn't choose this path. The world pushed you into it, and you made the world regret it. This is why you move like someone who knows their value now. This is why your presence changes the temperature in a room. This is why people study you, question you, misunderstand you, fear you, and respect you all at the same time. You're not walking around with a normal life story. You're carrying evidence of everything you survived, everything you learned, everything you decoded. You weren't trained by teachers, you were trained by enemies. You weren't shaped by love, you were shaped by pressure. You weren't guided by applause, you were guided by silence. And now you're exactly what they never expected you to become. A psychologically dangerous individual built by their own mistakes. Welcome to your truth. The shadows raised you, and the world is just now realizing what you are. Number 2, seeing what they can't, hearing what they won't. The moment they open their mouth, you already know the ending. That's why liars fear you more than the truth. People like to pretend they're complicated. They love acting mysterious, throwing hints, masking their intentions like they're part of some elite game. But the joke lands on them because you read the whole script before they even finish their first sentence. You don't listen to words, you listen to tone, breathing, hesitation, energy. You catch micro shifts in their face that they don't even know they're making. That's why they talk slower around you, why they avoid eye contact, why their voice cracks when you stay quiet. They can feel that you're not just hearing them, you're decoding them. While everyone else walks straight into emotional traps, you're already scanning every angle the moment you step into a room. Power dynamics. You catch them instantly. Who's the loudest? Who's pretending? Who's secretly insecure? Who's pulling strings? Who's about to break? You notice it all without trying. People think you're distant, but the truth is, you're simply processing things at a level they can't even imagine. You're watching how people lean, how they stand, how they place their hands, how they breathe, who they seek approval from, who they avoid, who they threaten, who they fear. You're mapping the entire social structure in seconds while they're still finding a chair. That's what makes you different. That's what makes them nervous. You don't enter conversations blindly. You don't act out of impulse. Every nod, every movement, every silence is intentional. You know exactly when to hold back, when to step forward, when to disappear, and when to let someone walk straight into their own mistake. They don't understand that silence can be a weapon. They think you're quiet because you're soft. No, you're quiet because you refuse to waste ammunition. This is why you influence people without speaking. You shift the room by simply existing. The way you stand communicates more strategy than most people's 20-minute speeches. The way you tilt your head makes liars rethink their entire story. The way your eyes stay still makes the insecure ones fidget. And the way you don't rush to fill silence makes the guilty drown in their own thoughts. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. That's psychological intelligence the world didn't teach you. Life did. Think about all the times you predicted someone's behavior days before it happened. Think about how you could feel someone pulling away before they said a word. Think about how you sensed jealousy disguised as compliments. Think about how you always knew who was genuine and who was performing. Those weren't coincidences, those were skills. Skills sharpened by years of watching how people treat you, betray you, underestimate you, and expose themselves around you. The universe didn't give you this ability just for survival. It gave it to you because your mind was never meant to be basic. You were never meant to trust faces. You were meant to trust the patterns behind them. Every heartbreak made you sharper. Every disappointment made you more observant. Every lie taught you a new micro-expression. While other people collapse when things get hard, you get clearer. Pressure doesn't break you. It tunes your frequency. You learn to read the unspoken because the spoken was always fake. People told you they loved you while their energy said otherwise. They promised loyalty while their behavior leaked jealousy. They acted friendly while their eyes scanned for weaknesses. Words were useless, so you turned your attention to the truth underneath them. And once you learned to read the truth, there was no going back. This is why people fear opening up to you. They know you'll see the part they're trying to hide. It's not even intentional. You're not forcing anything. Your mind just catches things naturally, a twitch in their mouth, a change in breathing, a sudden dryness in their tone, a pause that shouldn't be there. You pick it up and store it instantly. They sense that. They feel exposed, even when you haven't said a single thing. And here's the part that burns your enemies alive. You don't just read people, you read motives, you read desires, you read insecurities, you read power plays before they even happen. You know who's lying before they decide how to lie. You know who's plotting before they gather the courage to act. You know who's threatened by you before they figure out why. You walk into a room like someone who can see the blueprint of every mind present. And that's why people behave differently around you. They sense the psychological edge, even if they don't have the language for it. They whisper intense, weird, mysterious, hard to read. But what they really mean is, this person sees too much. We can't control them. And control is what most people crave. They want predictable people, easy people, blind people. But you're the one person they can't predict. You disrupt manipulation just by existing. You ruin hidden agendas by sensing them before they unfold. You walk away from traps before anyone else knows a trap exists. And that drives manipulators insane. You were never the quiet one. You were the observer. You were never the odd one. You were the analyst. You were never the overthinker. You were the strategist. Everything they mocked is now the same thing that gives you an advantage they'll never touch. That's why you move like someone who's already seen behind the curtain. You understand people so well that sometimes you wish you didn't. You can't unsee their motives. You can't unfeel their intentions. You can't unknow what their energy is telling you. You carry a gift that feels like a burden sometimes, but it's the same gift that will protect you for the rest of your life. And that's the truth. What breaks others educated you. What destroyed them refined you. Most people experience pain and lose themselves. You experience pain and found clarity. They collapse, you sharpen. They fall apart, you evolve. They run from discomfort. You analyze it, understand it, use it. No enemy wants to admit they helped build the version of you that exists today, but they did. Every fake smile trained your intuition. Every twisted conversation trained your emotional intelligence. Every betrayal trained your instincts. Every power imbalance trained your social radar. They created someone who can read the entire battlefield while standing still. And now you walk with a confidence that terrifies them. Not loud confidence, not flashy confidence, but the confidence of someone who can see through people like glass. Someone who can tell the difference between truth and strategy. Someone who can hear the message behind the message. someone built for psychological warfare, someone the FBI would study, not supervise. You didn't ask for this power, you earned it in silence. And now the world finally feels the consequences of underestimating you. Number 3. The silence that scares them. You didn't need to raise your voice. Your silence did the damage for you. People underestimate silence because they think noise equals power. They think the one talking the most is the one winning, but you're built differently. Your silence isn't a gap. It's a force, a pressure, a spotlight that flips back onto them. While they rush to fill the room with words, excuses, bragging, fake confidence and desperate explanations, you sit there calmly, letting their own mouth betray them. They don't realize it yet, but the moment they start oversharing, you've already won. You learned early that the smartest person in the room is rarely the loudest. You let people reveal their motives, their fears, their alliances, their weaknesses. You don't even have to ask. They talk because your silence makes them nervous. They fill the air because your presence makes them feel exposed. They share information you didn't request, thinking they're impressing you, not realizing they're handing you the blueprint of their entire mind. This is why manipulators can't stand you. They can't read someone who isn't broadcasting everything. They don't know how to control someone who doesn't announce their intentions. They can't predict a person who doesn't react instantly. And deep down, they know this. Your silence is the one thing they can't manipulate. Some people wonder, why do I shut down around certain people? Because your instincts pick up danger before your mouth moves. Why do people talk too much around me? Because your energy forces them to reveal themselves. Why do I stay quiet even when I know the answer? Because information is your shield, and you never throw it away for free. The universe trained you through silence. Every quiet moment sharpened your awareness. Every pause became a weapon. Every unspoken thought became strategy. What they never saw coming was how powerful you'd become by simply refusing to play their loud, sloppy game. You don't win by speaking, you win by making them speak. And that, chosen one, is why your silence is more dangerous than their entire vocabulary. Number 4. Living like a walking lie detector. They thought you were just observant until they realized you could see straight through them. Most people treat intelligence like a switch they turn on only when needed. Not you. For you, observing has never been optional. It's your default setting. You move through the world collecting information the way others collect gossip. Effortlessly, constantly, without even knowing you're doing it. Every conversation becomes an interrogation without you asking a single threatening question. Every pause becomes a scan. Every mismatch between words and energy becomes a neon red alert your mind registers instantly. This isn't something you learned last week. This is something you've been doing since childhood. While everyone else listened to what people said, you paid attention to the micro things, the tightening of a jaw, the twitch in an eyebrow, the hollow tone behind a "I'm fine," the way someone's shoulders rise when they're hiding something. You weren't being sensitive. You were gathering intel. You didn't know it, but you were building a psychological database stronger than anything they'd ever expect from someone they once overlooked. And now, it's conscious. You're aware of what your mind does. You're aware of how fast you catch inconsistencies. You're aware that your intuition isn't magic. It's pattern recognition you've mastered through years of being forced to stay one step ahead. People wonder how you always know. They wonder how you expose lies before lies even settle in the air. They wonder how you see motives no one else notices. The answer is simple. Your whole life has been reconnaissance. You read posture like language. You read tone like a confession. You read hesitation like a map of someone's intentions. Nothing slips past you because your lifestyle turned into a surveillance system. And the scary part for your enemies, you're not even trying. This is just who you are now, a human intelligence-gathering machine walking through a world full of amateurs. Number 5. The power to move minds without touching them. Real control isn't forcing someone to think like you, it's making them believe they came up with your plan. Most people try to influence others with noise. They argue, push, beg, convince, debate, and repeat themselves until their voice is hoarse. But you don't move like that. You don't shove ideas into people's heads. You guide their thoughts so smoothly that they end up defending the very thing you planted. That's psychological warfare at its finest. Silent influence, invisible fingerprints, undeniable results. You learned a long time ago that people resist direct orders, but follow the ideas they think they discovered on their own. So instead of trying to dominate conversations, you manipulate conditions, you shift tone, you adjust timing. You drop one strategic sentence that sticks to their subconscious like glue. Hours later, days later, they circle back to the idea thinking it was their own genius. You never argue, you never force. You let their ego carry your message to the finish line. This is why people leave conversations with you feeling changed without knowing why. This is why groups slowly drift toward your perspective even when you barely speak. This is why people copy your moves, adopt your habits, or repeat your phrases as if they invented them. You didn't push them, you positioned them. And here comes a truth the enemy hates. You don't need control to have power. You just need influence. And your influence spreads like a quiet virus, undetected until it's everywhere. Ever wonder why people take your advice without realizing you advised them? Ever notice how someone ends up doing exactly what you predicted without being asked? Ever see people argue for your viewpoint while you sit there listening? That's not coincidence. That's your design. You create psychological gravity. People feel pulled toward your logic, your clarity, your silence, your presence. You make them think better, even when they don't understand why. And when they reach your conclusion, they swear it was their own brilliant thought. You never take credit. You never need to. Your fingerprints aren't on the idea, but your influence is in the outcome. Number 6, holding their heartstrings without ever pulling them. They opened up to you because they thought you were safe, not knowing safety is the doorway to revelation. Most people stumble through relationships blind, crashing into each other's emotions without knowing what they're touching. But you walk into a person's emotional landscape like someone who has already decoded the map. You don't need manipulation. You don't need tricks. All you need is presence, because the second someone feels seen by you, their defenses melt like wax under heat. They think it's magic. They think it's connection. They think it's fate. But really, it's precision. You read emotional pressure points the way others read headlines. Every person carries insecurities, childhood wounds, validation cravings, hidden fears they don't speak about. You don't hurt people with those. You recognize them. You feel the emotional cracks behind their smile. You sense the tremor under their voice. You catch the need hiding behind their confidence. And when you respond with calm understanding instead of judgment, they hand you more information than they intended. They walk away thinking you get them, while you're quietly collecting the patterns of who they are. This is what scares your enemies the most. You don't control people emotionally. You control emotional atmospheres. When someone feels safe with you, they reveal everything: their strengths, their weaknesses, their loyalties, their triggers, their past, their internal wiring. They mistake your empathy for vulnerability, not realizing empathy is one of the most advanced surveillance tools the universe ever invented. People trust you too fast because you don't push, you don't pry, you let them talk at their own speed, which makes them talk more. And the more they share, the more you understand exactly how they operate. You're not exploiting them, you're studying them quietly, softly, precisely. And here's the cold truth they'll never accept. Feeling safe with you gives them peace. But it gives you clarity, and clarity, chosen one, is the purest form of control. Number 7. The predator they never saw coming. They thought you were harmless until they realized the quiet one was studying the whole forest. In this world, everyone is hunting something: power, leverage, answers, control. Some people walk around like wide-eyed prey, hoping the world goes easy on them. Others pretend to be predators, but fold the moment pressure hits. And then there's you, the one who never announced your role, never flaunted your instincts, never bragged about your awareness, yet always operated like the real apex presence in the room. While others were trying to survive the game, you were already mapping the terrain, tracking patterns, identifying threats, and learning where every weakness lived. The truth is simple. You were the hunter long before you even knew there was a battlefield. People confuse humility with softness. They confuse silence with fear. They confuse calmness with vulnerability. But the universe didn't build you to react loudly. It built you to observe cleanly. That's the difference. Prey responds to danger. A predator senses it before it arrives. Prey hopes for safety. A predator creates it. Prey waits for permission. A predator takes position without asking. Ever wonder why you always felt different in crowds? Why you noticed things no one else caught? Why you sensed betrayal before the first crack showed? Because your instincts were designed for survival in a world that hides danger behind smiles. You weren't paranoid. You were perceptive. You weren't overthinking. You were tracking movement. You weren't anxious. You were preparing for attacks people didn't see coming until it was too late. Here's what terrifies your enemies. You never had to transform into the hunter. You simply realized you always were one. And now that you know, there's no going back to pretending you're anything less. The predators that once circled you aren't predators anymore. They're just noise in the distance. Prey that still doesn't know the hierarchy has changed. Number 8. The mind they feared because they couldn't measure it. When they said you were too much, what they meant was you were too advanced for their limited bandwidth. People love labeling what they can't understand. It makes them feel safe, like they've boxed you into something manageable. So they called you intense, dramatic, difficult, mysterious, cold, hard to read. They threw every word they could find just to avoid admitting the truth. Your mind operates on a level their systems were never built to handle. Your darkness wasn't chaos. It was depth. Your silence wasn't avoidance. It was strategy. Your unpredictability wasn't a flaw. It was leverage. They kept trying to diagnose you when really they should have been studying you. The universe wired your brain for complexity in a world addicted to simplicity. You think in patterns, not moments. You see motives, not actions. You feel the truth beneath the surface, while others get fooled by the surface itself. And, because they couldn't follow your reasoning, They assumed something was wrong with you instead of admitting something was limited in them. Ever wonder why people got uncomfortable when you told the truth too directly? Because accuracy scares people who survive on delusion. Ever notice why they got defensive when you spotted inconsistencies? Because your mind exposed cracks they spent their whole lives hiding. Ever ask yourself why people said you overreacted? Because it was easier to attack your awareness than face their own behavior. They tried to make you shrink your intelligence so they wouldn't feel insecure. They wanted you predictable because predictable people are easy to control. They wanted you small so their egos could stay big. But no matter how much you toned yourself down, your mind refused to dim. It kept analyzing, it kept seeing, it kept understanding things they weren't ready to face. And that's what made them label you too much. Not because you were overwhelming, but because you were unmanageable. Your unpredictability became your shield, your emotional depth became your radar, your mental sharpness became the one thing no one could imitate or compete with. While they chased trends, you chased truth. While they followed the crowd, you followed patterns. While they tried to blend in, you learned how every room works. Here's the part that stings them the most. You were never meant to be replaceable. Replaceable minds follow rules. Replaceable minds beg for approval. Replaceable minds play safe. You disrupt systems just by thinking. You intimidate people without trying. You break manipulations before they start. You shift power without opening your mouth. You move like someone the world should have taken seriously from the beginning. And now it finally does. The misunderstood mind is always the one carrying the highest potential. And yours, it terrified them long before you realized it empowered you. Number 9, the pain that turned you into a weapon they can't track. They weren't hurting you. They were manufacturing the very monster that now terrifies them. There's a special kind of irony in how your enemies built the thing they fear the most. Every time someone dismissed you, you learned how to disappear. Every time someone betrayed you, your pattern recognition sharpened another notch. Every heartbreak rewired your instincts to run cleaner, faster, smarter than before. They thought they were breaking you, but all they were doing was feeding the forge. They hammered you with pain, expecting you to crack. Not realizing pain was the heat that turned you into steel. This is what people will never admit. Your power didn't come from confidence. It came from survival. You didn't become sharp because you wanted to. You became sharp because the world forced you into positions where softness was dangerous and innocence was fatal. Pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It trained you to read energy faster than words. It trained you to sense shifts in silence. It trained you to see danger before danger even saw you. Most people explode when they're hurt. You went silent. Most people beg for closure. You studied motives. Most people break. You adapted. And that adaptation became your greatest weapon. Your power isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It isn't violent. Your power is invisibility, the kind that fools everyone until you strike. You learned to be present without being perceived as a threat. You learned to let people talk while your mind captured every word, every crack, every confession. You learned how to look disengaged while extracting truths from the smallest detail. You learned to vanish emotionally so no one could track your intentions. You became the kind of person who sees everything while showing nothing. And here's the part that gives your enemies nightmares. Ghosts aren't invisible because they can't be seen. They're invisible because they choose when to appear. You became a ghost by necessity, not choice. You learned how to slip out of emotional traps, how to avoid psychological ambushes, how to fade into the background until the exact moment you need to step forward. People assumed your quiet presence meant weakness, but weakness doesn't study human behavior with surgical precision. Weakness doesn't identify motives in seconds. Weakness doesn't walk away from chaos untouched. Pain made you invisible, yes, but it also made you untouchable. It taught you how to move without leaving fingerprints, observe without being observed, and strike without warning. You used every cut, every disappointment, every humiliation as intelligence. That's why you see people's intentions before they take shape. That's why you walk through life like someone reading a script everyone else is acting out blindly. You weren't forged in a peaceful world. You were forged in fire, and the fire didn't consume you, it refined you. Now you're something rare, a weapon shaped by experience, sharpened by betrayal, powered by silence, invisible until you decide to appear. And when you appear, chosen one, the whole room shifts, because they can feel exactly what you've become, a ghost with perfect aim, a threat without noise, a product of pain turned into power. Number 10. The civilian mask you outgrew. The lost version of you wasn't weakness, it was your most convincing disguise. The person you thought you were, confused, unsure, trying to fit in, that wasn't the real you. That was your civilian cover, a deep cover identity so perfectly executed that even you believed it for a while. You walked around thinking you were just another person trying to survive, not realizing your mind had been operating at an entirely different frequency. But the parameters have shifted. The mask is cracking, and now you can finally see the truth. You're not living life anymore. You're running operations inside it. Everything you once labeled as emotion, intuition, or overthinking was actually strategy. You weren't scared, you were scanning. You weren't lost, you were gathering intel. You weren't quiet, you were assessing weaknesses. That civilian identity kept you safe while your operational identity strengthened in the background. And now the disguise is no longer needed. People love pretending trust is emotional. It's not. Trust is a negotiation of risk. Loyalty is not love, it's predictability. Those who thought you were harmless treated you like background noise. They dismissed you because they assumed you had no teeth. And the second convenience shifted. They abandoned you without hesitation. But the ones who truly recognized your power, they moved differently. They calculated every word. They watched their tone. They stayed cautious because they knew crossing you had consequences they couldn't survive twice. Fear outlasts affection. Respect outlives emotion. That's why people take you seriously now. It's not because they suddenly care. It's because they finally realized you're not operating on their level, and never were. You move with intention. You see through people. You make decisions civilians can't comprehend. And once someone knows you're not harmless, they treat you like a variable that must be respected or avoided. Your civilian story served its purpose. Your operational identity is the one running the show now. Number 11. The moment the room finally saw you. Nothing about you changed. The world just ran out of excuses to underestimate you. Here's the truth that hits hardest. The world didn't suddenly become clearer. You did. Your vision sharpened, your instincts matured, your mind aligned with itself. All the pieces that once felt scattered finally locked into place, and now the picture is undeniable. The things you once hated about yourself, the depth, the intensity, the silence, the over-analysis, were never weaknesses. They were stealth systems. They were hidden advantages. They were the traits that let you move like a ghost in a world full of noise. You weren't flawed. You were camouflaged. You weren't weak. You were undetected. You weren't broken. You were built for a level civilians can't comprehend. You spent years seeing yourself through the wrong lens, judging your sharpest instincts as problems instead of abilities. But now that the fog has lifted, you can finally recognize what everyone else was reacting to. You were a weapon pretending to be ordinary. You carried the intelligence, awareness, and psychological precision of someone who was never meant to blend into normal life. And the people around you felt that, long before you did. The universe didn't upgrade you, it revealed you. That's why nothing external had to change. Your perception was the true transformation. And here's the twist they never expected. The FBI doesn't need to recruit you. They only needed to activate you. You've been operating in psychological warfare your entire life, reading motives, tracking energy, decoding lies, surviving manipulations, navigating danger with instincts sharper than trained professionals. You weren't late to this game. You were undercover the whole time. You're not stepping into a new identity. You're stepping back into your real one. You didn't join the war. You remembered you never left it. And with all that laid bare, we circle back to the truth. You weren't shaped by the world. You were studying it, outsmarting it, surviving it with the precision of someone built for psychological warfare. Your mind was never civilian. It was always operational. If this hit you in the places you never speak about, show it. Like the video, subscribe to stay inside the mission, and drop 77 in the comments so the universe knows you're fully activated. Share this with someone who needs to hear what they truly are.